Hi, this is another edition of Your Daily Dose of Discipleship. And we believe in discipleship at the Lordship Church. It's one of those things that we understand God to say through His Word that we're to make disciples. And that is the focus. That's the foundation of everything. It's not a program, it's the foundation of what the church is about transformation, making disciples. And Paul said in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, that we are to be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. And that word transformed means, in the Greek, metamorphosis. It's the caterpillar to the butterfly. And that's what Jesus died on the cross for, is to transform our lives. How have you changed? How have you grown? Paul talks about it in Ephesians, saying that we should go from infants in Christ to mature in Christ. That's the transformation, to be more like Jesus. And so we're going to start a series of daily doses of discipleship on a book that I think is just fabulous by a guy named John Ortberg, The Life You've Always Wanted. And I encourage you to pick up this book and read it and read it and read it and read it again, because he really hits the essence of what it's all about. Spiritual growth is about transformation. Jesus didn't die on the cross so that you could stay the way you are. He died to give you life. The way you are or were before you came to know Christ is a life of existence, not a life of abundance, not a life of joy. And so that's the challenge. That is the goal, that we change, that we become more like Jesus. But he points out here in the first chapter that it's a challenge because sometimes we don't feel we need to change. We feel like we're okay. And the disappointment he talks about here is understanding that we're disappointed with the fact we're not what God intended us to be. We're not what He created us to be. You individually, me, am I who Christ created me to be? No. I need to be transformed. I need to morph. And this book gives us key steps, biblical steps, on how to transform. You know, I wish I was more loving. I wish I was more compassionate. I wish I prayed more. I wish I read the Bible more. I wish I was more serious about sharing the gospel. All of those things are kind of disappointments. But that's good, because if we're disappointed, then that's the beginning of change. That's the beginning of morphing. And he talks about in the book here, he gives the quote by Soren Kierkegaard, "Now with God's help, I shall become myself." Or in essence, who God created me to be. I'm going to read just a couple of different portions here quickly. And he says here, "I am disappointed that I still love God so little and sin so much." That's an honest statement. That is an honest statement. If we really examine our hearts, many times that's the case. I always had the idea as a child that adults were pretty much the people who they wanted to be, yet the truth is this: I'm embarrassingly sinful. I am capable of dismaying amounts of jealousy if someone succeeds more visibly than I do. I am disappointed at my capacity to be small and petty. I cannot pray for very long without my mind drifting into fantasy of angry revenge or some past slight that I thought that I had long since forgiven, or some grandiose fantasy of achievement. I can convince people I'm busy and productive, and yes, waste large amounts of time watching television. These are just a few of my disappointments. I am disappointed at my lack of disappointment. Interesting thoughts. Disappointed at my lack of disappointment. You know, when we become desensitized to sin and to this world and the patterns and the ways of this world, we no longer morph. We no longer become more like Christ. Romans 12:2. I want to challenge you today. What did God create you to be? Are you who God intended you to be? In the next few daily doses of discipleship, we're going to talk more about it. I want to challenge you with that question, with that thought. Do you really believe that you're all God created you to be? God bless you. Have a great day.